Our Senedd election coverage build-up. I'm speaking with Welsh party leaders ahead of May the 6th, and today I'm joined by Welsh Liberal Democrats Jane Dodds. Good morning.
Good morning, bore da.
What a year it's been.
It certainly has, hasn't it? Yeah, I mean, it is a year now as well. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, people will have dealt with it in very, very different ways. But yeah, it's been an interesting year, and I hope we can learn from it as well as recover from it quickly.
We've all been doing a lot of this Teams talking, so I'm guessing it's been digital for you in terms of keeping in touch with your constituents.
Yes, it has. I mean, we've been keeping in touch with everybody across Wales, obviously being Welsh Party leader, then it's across Wales. And yeah, what's been very interesting is that I live in a very rural area. So actually, this is working for us because usually I'd have had to have travelled to meet people. And now we're all used to it. I think it's going to be a bit of a hybrid model going forward. So yeah, it's been interesting in that way as well.
A little bit of a tricky campaign this year because usually be knocking doors and handing out leaflets and having a lot of face-to-face time. How are you going to manage that?
Oh, you know, I do miss it. I do miss standing on those doorsteps and knocking those doors and having those direct conversations with people, being able to see them, hear their stories and listen to them as well. What we've been doing is we're doing a lot of phone-in. So we've been on the phones. And actually finding that particularly still in lockdown, people appreciate those phone calls, and we can start delivering as well. So from Monday, we've been delivering leaflets too, but it is a very, very strange one. It really is. And yeah, you know, we just have to adapt and everybody's in the same boat. So on we go.
You've got the 16, 17-year-olds coming on board with their votes this year, so it's going to be a little bit changed, a bit different. What do you think will be the key issues that will drive people to the polls?
I think certainly for young people, what we're hearing is it's about the environment. It's about the climate emergency, but it's also about recovery and it's about jobs. It's about people who care for others, our health services. And it's also about making sure that our high streets, our communities are supported and are looked after. You know, we've all found, haven't we, that, you know, being able to pop to our local shop, our high street, whatever it is, it's been invaluable, absolutely invaluable. So, yeah, there's going to be a different tinge to it all this year, definitely.
Put recovery first is your hashtag. It's your key message this year. So what is your strategy to get Wales out of this pandemic?
I think there's three things. The first is looking at the economy. So looking at jobs. How can we make sure that we invest in jobs, making sure that we keep people in employment, get more employment, particularly the green jobs as well. The second is around carers. So really, you know, putting our caring recovery first is really important to us. We've seen the value of carers over the past year, both in the health services, in our homes, but also informal carers as well. And then the third one is making sure that the planet recovers. You know, lots has changed in the last year, but really our planet is still under threat. So the environmental issues are going to be the big one as well.
You put a 5-point plan in place. Can you tell us a little bit about the areas around that? And the target is to be net zero by 2050. Are you more ambitious? Are you going with Finland about 2035?
Well, isn't it interesting, all of these years, different years? I mean, I'd love to actually see us going 2040, which is what the farming unions are actually going for. And I think here in Wales, we're seeing a real move towards a net zero position by that time. So wouldn't that be absolutely amazing? But amongst that, what we also are committing to is £1 billion a year towards fighting the climate emergency. And within that, I want to see more money spent from our budget in the Welsh Senedd as well. Only 1% currently is spent on decarbonisation. So I want to see a year-on-year increase. I want to see more money and resources is on mental health. A 24/7 mental health service is just right in our communities. That's what I want to see. We have that for health services, so why shouldn't we for mental health? I want to see housing increase, particularly for young people, and making sure that we keep our communities together. Our high streets, investing in our high streets street and our community shops. We want to be the saviours of the high street, really put that at the heart and make sure we abolish business rates as well. Final one for me is connectivity. We need better connectivity, particularly in places like where I live, rural Wales. We need to make sure that we carry on with the ability to meet across the internet, but that means we need to have better internet.
The Senedd voted to pass the Curriculum and Assessment Bill, meaning the new curriculum for Wales will be introduced in 2022. What other policies would you put in place to ensure no pupils or students in Wales are left behind?
Oh, there's so many. So if I just start with the angle of ensuring that we support those poorer pupils to achieve, Kirsty Williams as our Senedd member and also as our Education Minister has put in place amazing policies to ensure that poorer pupils continue to have the ability to learn by no holiday hunger. So we're different to England, absolutely committing to giving free school meals both in term and out of term, making sure that we get more teachers in. Teachers are really motivating them, making sure they have good pay and conditions, making sure that we have that rural schools policy. Again, I keep coming back to rural schools and rural life, but we need to make sure that we support those small schools to stay open. And finally, that we make sure that we have a broad range of topics and subjects for those young people who want to go and develop their skills into the future.
You said your party must be bold in tackling poverty. What do you mean by that?
Oh, I think there's lots of things that I would talk about, but the big one for me is universal basic income. We have passed a position where we want to make sure that we trial universal basic income across Wales. There's cross-party support for this, and if the Liberal Democrats have a really good group in the Senedd in May, then we'll be looking to work across parties to see if we can trial universal basic income. There's two things that would give us. Firstly, it would absolutely ensure that there is a ceiling floor, an income floor, which makes sure nobody would drop below that. And that means hopefully we'd get rid of food banks. Wouldn't that just be amazing? The second thing is it gives people the opportunity to actually do something different. And if we look at caring, for example, universal basic income could give them that opportunity.
The Federation of Small Businesses this week called for more investment in infrastructure, and you've just mentioned digital connectivity, and they also said that the transport network must be a priority. They were focusing particularly on rural areas, as you said.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. So just to kind of reference that back again, we need much better connectivity here in rural Wales, but across Wales as well. But the other thing is looking at how our kind of grid supply works. So we need to make sure that obviously transport starts to move towards electric vehicles. We appreciate that's going to take some time, but to do that, we need to make sure that our electric charging points, for example, have enough power. And in rural Wales, we know there are challenges around ensuring that we have those power points. It's not just that, it's looking at whether we can enhance our public transport. It's looking at whether we can actually make sure that we bring people together to be able to work and to be healthy and to make sure that people have that ability to stimulate each other. I want to see, one thing I'd love to see here in Mid Wales is a centre of expertise focusing on the green economy, and that would be an amazing innovation. So I'd love to work towards that in the Senedd elections.
So many businesses have been affected this year, many people on furlough, some jobs may not return. So are jobs at the heart of your manifesto?
They are. They're top of the list, as you heard. Put recovery first means ensuring we have jobs for people. Jobs is obviously important for people's livelihood. It gives them a purpose, but clearly it makes sure that money goes back into our economy. And our small businesses, our small shops, tourism, hospitality, they all need a hand to get out of this COVID time. That means that they all need some recovery time to get back on their feet and to be able to look to the future. Wales, rural and urban, we have so many people coming here to visit. Isn't it amazing? We welcome them every year. We haven't been able to do that for a year now, but we really need to recognise the role that tourism and hospitality brings to the Welsh economy. So it is jobs across the board. It's making sure that we also, and you may be coming on to this, we also address the challenges around Brexit and some of the EU kind of sort of challenges and barriers that people are really struggling with. So really, business and jobs, that's our focus.